The famous German philosopher Hegel once gave a series of lectures on the philosophy of history, and in those lectures he stated that history teaches us that we do not learn from history. In other words, usually people don't draw lessons from the past in order to change or improve humanity. We keep on making the same mistakes over and over again. I also asked ChatGPT, which seems to be the go-to source of wisdom for people nowadays, why it is important to learn from the past. The first point was in order to avoid making the same mistakes over and over again. It seems pretty obvious, right? ChatGPT also said that learning from the past gives us perspective. It helps us understand where we've come from, recognize patterns, and make choices that can lead to a better future. So even sources from the secular world are aware of how important it is to learn from the past. Now let's turn to 1 Corinthians chapter 10. I invite you to read the whole chapter, not just the verses assigned to today's lesson. Paul masterfully exposes in a very well thought out argument this problem of not learning from the past. 1,000 times better stated than ChatGPT or Hegel the philosopher. Paul starts out by reminding his readers of what happened in Israel in the wilderness. Then in verse 6 he says, "From this lesson we are warned that we must not desire evil things as they did." And verse 11, all these things happened to them as examples, as object lessons to us, to warn us against doing the same things. They were written down so that we could read about them and learn from them in these last days as the world nears its end. So be careful if you are thinking, "Oh, I would never behave like that." Let this be a warning to you, for you too may fall into sin. But remember this, the wrong desires that come into your life aren't anything new and different. Many others have faced exactly the same problems before you, and no temptation is irresistible. You can trust God to keep the temptation from becoming so strong that you can't stand up against it, for He has promised this and will do what He says. He will show you how to escape temptation's power so that you can bear up patiently against it. So here's the takeaway. Israel was God's chosen people, and despite God's guidance, they chose to be disobedient and unbelieving. Their knowledge of God and His ways did not grant them immunity from temptation. They indulged in the gratification of fleshly desires and lusts, habitually governed by desire. The Israelites were not guided by calm reason, but by the promptings of unsanctified passions and appetites. And that can happen to any of us today. Don't think for a minute that the temptations that you're up against are harder than those who came before you. If you habitually overindulge and are spiritually overconfident, you will end up just the same as the Israelites from the Old Testament, out of the promised land. And with that, we come to the end of our nuggets. I'll see you tomorrow.